Those of you watching who know who the late Prophet Bob Jones was, one of the great old prophets of another era, he died recently in his mid-80s. He made the statement that I thought was very, very beautiful. He said he went to heaven, and as he stood before the Lord, this was in 1975, he was dead for 3 hours. As he stood before the Lord, everybody in front of him, right up to him, Jesus asked them one question. Did you learn to love? And if they did, genuinely, they were admitted into heaven. He said when he got to that point, he was so excited because he felt like he was going to pass. And when he got there, Jesus said, no, you've got to go back. I need you on earth more than I need you in here. So here we're looking at something very, very important today. And that is the question that Jesus will probably ask every one of us. Did you learn to love? Now that doesn't mean that you learned to love your dog.
Right.
Or did you learn to love a television program? Or did you learn to love your children? But this is loving the way our Lord loves, agape love. A love that is total and complete. We're going to read some scriptures, and I think you'll find it to be very, very beneficial. Before I read those, let me read another one here, and then we'll get into that from this. We're going to do everything from the Gospel of John, and start with the 15th chapter. Okay, if you're looking for that, just take a moment and find it. John 15. Jesus says, I am the vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit. Now, every branch in him. Now, when you think about it, it's real easy to believe once in grace, always in grace. Once saved, always saved. All right? But Jesus is saying, the Father will cut the branches off of me who are bearing no fruit. Now, this is strange because there'd be no branches off of Jesus who had not been growing with him, who had not been a part of him, all right? So this requires some thought. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes, so that it will even be more fruitful. Now this is a powerful statement. Think about it. Anybody who is connected to Jesus and they aren't bearing any fruit are going to get cut off. Or they'll be taken off. But those who do bear fruit, he will purge. Now if you want to know what purging means, it's like we have some bushes out in our backyard. Trees. And they were really out of control. They had a real purpose, but they were growing kind of wild. They were not under control and they were not beautiful. All right. Those bushes, finally, Verna, a year or so ago, goes out back with a big chopper, and she chops those things down till they were absolutely ugly. They had big old stems coming out of them. They had nothing on them.
Had knobs on the
Had
end.
knobs. It was ugly. And I didn't ask her because I knew she knew what she was doing. But
Yeah.
I was wondering, you know, she's ruined what there was out there. Has been ruined. Why would I think that? Because she had cut them back so severely. Now, she did it. That's called purging. She did it in order for them to come back even more beautiful.
Beautiful the next year.
And they did, to my
Yes.
shock. Not really, I expected it. But they came back beautifully. Okay, here's what Jesus is saying. If you are connected with me and you're not bearing fruit, the Father is going to cut you off, throw you in the garbage can, and send you to the dump to be burned. I said, what he's saying, but if you are bearing fruit, then he's going to examine you and most likely determine that you can bear more fruit. You can do more than you're doing, and so he will purge you. That's what Jesus is saying. Now, there's not one of us who really like to be purged. When you get purged, that means you've been cut back to your ugly. Things are showing that you didn't have. Yeah, things are showing that you don't really want to show. Things are not looking like you want them to look. You're being exposed. There's knobs coming out of you that's not covered. All right? Now this is very, very important. If you are a fruit bearer and you're not being purged, then you can understand that God has a very small opinion of you. You're putting out about all you can do, and he doesn't really think you're any good for anything else, so he just kind of lets it go. He lets you go, all right? Now, when he purges you, now I personally think I've been purged right down to the bottom line, and I love it. You say you're being for real? Yes, I'm being real, because I suddenly can see that who I am never really existed, but it's beginning to exist now, and I really like who I am. Who I was a little bit false. I'm sorry to have to confess that. I was a pastor of a very large church, and you know how we make things work. We become CEOs, and we keep it going, and we do what we got to do to keep it going. Well, God saw I was producing fruit, thank God, because he didn't kill me. He didn't throw me in the fire. But he purged me so that I could be more beautiful. I could do more than I've ever done. And I want to share with you that the years ahead of me will be so far greater than the years that have been behind me. And it all is because I was purged. Did I like being purged?
Yes, you do.
I didn't at the time.
Not at the time. No.
It felt unfair. It felt like God may have deserted me. And it's like when my mother caught me. When I was about 5 or 6 years old, she caught me smoking a cigarette. And that was my first one. And she called me in. And
When's your last one?
it's my last cigarette too. I kicked the habit at 5 years old. She whipped me till I had whips on my legs and burns. And I told her then, I said, Mother, if you don't quit, I'll never grow to get grown.
That was a good mom.
She was a wonderful mom. But did I enjoy that? No. But do I enjoy having good lungs today with no nicotine tar in them and healthy? Yes, I love it. Okay, this is purging. God takes you down to size. Okay, now, when he says if you don't bear fruit, now we introduce the real subject. Maybe that was the real subject. But we introduce the next part of this by saying what is the fruit that he expects us to have. How much time do we have, Ron? I think
6 minutes.
I think we'll cut it off here, and then we'll talk about it, and then we'll come back. We'll do another tape in just a moment, so we'll make sure you get series number 2. Thank you.